Paul, now that you...
Welcome to the show. How's it feel?
Nice to be here. Big stadium.
What's it been like the past 24 hours for you?
Busy a little bit. Yeah, had a little bit of a reprieve. Got to come in here and work out yesterday. But other than that, like settling in and that kind of thing. But love Pittsburgh. It's awesome.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the call, how you found out you're getting promoted?
Yeah, so we had an 11 a.m. game, and I had a bullpen in the morning, so I had to, waking up at 7 a.m. during the season is not fun. So headed over to the stadium early, got that stuff done, played the game, went home and took a nap, and then woke up to 3 missed calls from our manager, Miggy. Called him back and got the call.
Did he try to mess with you? Because he's known for that.
Yeah, no, he's great. And so I woke up and I saw the missed calls. I didn't have his number saved. He texted me, hey, it's Miggy, like whatever. And so I call him back. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, are you coming to dinner? Miggy, nobody told me about dinner. Like, I don't know what's going on. And he's like, you're not coming to dinner? And I'm like, no, I don't know what's going on. He says, are you really gonna make me look for another pitcher on Saturday? I'm like, I don't know, am I? He says, yeah, you are, because you're going to the show. So about a 2-minute phone call, and then I had to make a lot of other phone calls right after.
Paul, you and Jared have had a fun relationship for a while now, and then in Bradenton, it looked like it almost got like competitive in a fun way. How much cooler will that be now that you're both here, and even then pitching back to back?
Yeah, I think that's the coolest part about it, at least for these first couple days for me, is pitching back to back with him. I've played against him forever, since we were 10 or 11 years old, and I've known who he is for a while, so nice to be on the same side as him, for sure.
Paul, I think everyone at this point knows what you can do with your fastball and your slider, but just how do you feel like the rest of your pitches are coming along? How do you feel that your repertoire is other than those 2 pitches, in particular that splinker that you've been implementing? How are those pitches all looking, and how do you feel like those set up the fastball and the slider?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like you said, is just setting up the fastball and the slider. Just setting up pitches to get hitters out, and quickly. So that's been kind of the biggest thing in terms of like learning over the past couple months, is just learning how to use my pitches and set up out pitches late in the count. Learning how to read hitters and all that, but I've been super happy with it.
Paul, I know you were only there for 7 games, but what did you take away from being in AAA? Was it more, on the mound, or just even off the field, like just learning how to be a pro?
Yeah, a little bit of both. The club that we have down there is really good. Got a lot of veterans, so just being able to pick their brains has been, a great experience. So in terms of off the field, and I kind of manage it all. That's been really good. And then on the field, obviously, getting professional hitters out is difficult, and figuring out different ways to do that kind of week to week. It's been a fun learning process.
What were these last 2 months like for you? Whenever you obviously have the stuff to be a big leaguer, but you got to take those baby steps to adjust to the professional game, get up there.
Yeah, just taking it a day at a time, and knowing that going into each outing with a plan of I didn't really ask them what the limits were. Obviously there were limits on each outing, but going in basically with the mindset of I'm gonna get outs as quickly as possible, and then having a little bit different plan in each of those outings in terms of how I was going to do that.
Are you able to appreciate your last couple of years? 2 years ago you're pitching at the Air Force Academy, and now you're about to be pitching in the major leagues. That doesn't happen very often, if not ever, how fast this all went down. Are you able to recognize that now, or has it just been too much of a blur for you to comprehend?
Yeah, I try to look back and reflect as much as I can, and I think it doesn't feel like a blur. 2 years ago feels really long ago and really short ago at the same time, if that makes sense. So in some ways it flew by, and in some ways it was really long. But like the biggest thing is just a day at a time, and just putting the work in, and then stuff like this can happen, not just for me but for anybody. So it's a lot of blessings have come my way not just over the past couple of years, but throughout my entire career. And I think this is a step, I think, in that.
All the work you've put in with the repertoire, behind the scenes in the minor leagues in college, what's the feeling about having the chance to see how it plays at the big league level?
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, biggest thing is just want to see how it plays. I don't think it's going to be too different. Usage, like I said, usages might change, that kind of thing, but it's going to be fun to be with some veterans who've been around the game and that kind of thing, and be able to learn from them.
Well, you're coming in here with a lot of external expectations. Do you think about that internally at all, and how do you kind of manage that in your mind?
Day at a time. I do my best to not see any of it, but it's unavoidable at the same time. You're going to have to see some of it. So biggest thing is just showing up and working and taking it a day at a time.
Paul, seeing what the rotation has done all season, Jared, the rest of these guys, that kind of heightened the excitement to be a part of this?
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch. And obviously watching kind of as a fan for the past month or so. But yeah, I'm excited.
Paul, did you sense it was close?
I didn't really know what to expect. I kind of knew that once the build-up had finished, that it could happen, but didn't really know exactly when that build-up was going to finish. In my mind, I felt ready since the beginning of the off season, but obviously the club has their definition of ready also, in terms of building me up and that kind of thing, because you can't just show up in spring training and throw 7 innings even if I feel like I can. So yeah, it's just been like I said, just taking it a day at a time and trying not to worry too much about that.
When you see the success that Jared has had, and they obviously had a very dedicated plan for him too, so when we got to see that sort of maybe quell some of that, all right, it allow you to maybe trust the process a little bit more, or at least sort of appreciate the process a little bit more.
For sure. Yeah, and it's also a little bit easier to know that I'm kind of not the only one that's going through it, because it is frustrating, to go out there and throw 3 innings, regardless of I knew that I was going to throw 3 innings, and I knew that it was setting me up to be able to throw 6, 7, 8 innings in September, October this year. But it's still frustrating at the time. So it's nice to know that I'm not the only one going through it.
Well, I know you're probably in early elementary school when this happened, but are you familiar at all with the spectacle that was Steven Strasburg's debut? Have you ever taken the time to watch that on YouTube and take all that hype in?
Not really.
No?
No.
Well, with everything going on, will you be able to take a second tomorrow and really take it all in? Because, obviously it's a realization of a long time dream to get here.
Hopefully. Like I said, I try to reflect as much as I can and think on, past experiences and that kind of thing. I remember when, being in Omaha last year in the College World Series, that I pitched in the first game, and somebody came up to me and asked me how was it? I'm like, I don't really know. It was just pitching, even though it was in front of the most fans I'd ever pitched in front of. And so that's knowing myself. That's kind of how I handle it. But I definitely want to take a minute and realize how cool it is.
Reasonable to expect a big crowd here tomorrow, but family and friends wise, how many people are you expecting?
Not totally sure. My immediate family is coming, and my grandparents are coming, so yeah, it's going to be nice to experience it with them.
Paul, do you have a sense of how thirsty Pirates fans are to see the team get back into the playoffs, and do you have a message specifically for fans who are excited to see you play?
Yeah, I would definitely say we're close, and I think being around the team in spring training and watching the club over the past month or so, we're close, and I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Paul, when Jared made his major league debut, he was asked what his plan was, and he said it was to shove. What's yours?
It's a shove.